to say aggro, but to me the defining thing of a Tom Ross deck is basically the entire deck costs 1 and 2.
It's mana efficiency. You know, he tries to get out in front of people and then use 1 and 2 mana spells that are able to answer or negate 3 or 4 mana plays. Plays a very effective tempo game. White Blue Heroic, so good at that sort of game plan. God's Willing is, and Najani's Presence are so efficient at trading with removal spells, especially the, you know, Hero's Downfall, Obs on Charm, those 3 mana removal spells. Those are the tempo swings that make White Blue Heroic very potent.
Yeah, now of note, one thing that Aaron does have going for him is he does have 2 main deck copies of Reclamation Sage, which actually figures to be pretty decent in this matchup, as he'll have no shortage of enchantment targets.
But Aaron here, he's going to be up against it, especially on the draw.
Yeah. Turn 1 favorite Hoplite from Tom. He goes down to 19. Yeah, you almost think he wants one of those ramp into Siege Rhino style strategies just because it's very good at racing.
Well, it is. That's about as well as his deck can do from a racing perspective. But even Siege Rhino is not that effective at racing what White Blue Heroic does. It just, everything happens so fast, and the creatures quickly get big enough that not even Siege Rhino is capable of blocking.
Favorite Hoplite swings in for 1. Tom Scry's leaving on top, plays a second favorite Hoplite and passes back to Aaron. So no Hoplite into Ordeal. That's a bullet dodged for Aaron, but he's going to have to get his game on quickly. He started on Sandstep Citadel and follows it up with Satyr Wayfinder.
And I love the no hesitation from Tom there. Playing the second favorite Hoplite, you see some players there where, you know, they would think about it for a while because of Bile Blight, but Tom just doesn't care. It's probably not there, and if it is, so what?
It's going to get you if it's there no matter what. I mean, it may be just that the second Hoplite just isn't much value. It looks like he has more creatures. Aaron playing the Wayfinder, he does miss off the Wayfinder. Milling Rhino, Murderous Cut, and Elvish Mystic. Tom swings in for 2 with the creatures, and he'll play Heliod's Pilgrim.
And now Tom can be very aggressive tapping out here because the opening here of Yavimaya Coast, Wayfinder, and Siege Rhino means he's playing the 4-color deck. Tom knows that this deck just does not play a lot of removal, and so he can be very aggressive tapping out here.
Yeah, he does play Murderous Cut, and now Aaron has enough cards in the yard where he has to watch out for 1 mana cuts. But yeah, Heliod's Pilgrim gets Ordeal of Thassa for Tom. So it's a slow start, but one that's creating a lot of value. He hasn't really suited up any creatures yet. We'll go over to Aaron. Looks like he is going to delve, and this may just be a turn 3 Tasigur. And it is Tasigur the Golden Fang. Leaves Siege Rhino in the yard, certainly, so that's the go-to card for Aaron. And one thing Tasigur, I mean, he does a pretty good Gurmag Angler job, just being a large creature on the cheap, all abilities aside.
I think that Tom may have the answer ready here with Valorous Stance in hand.
Yeah, puts Ordeal of Thassa onto his favorite Hoplite. Swings, it goes up to 2 counters. Aaron will block with Satyr Wayfinder. Yeah, and Tom has a stance, doesn't even really, not pressured into using it just yet.
No, he's got, you know, Valorous Stance, but he's leaving up God's Willing, and if Aaron wants to spend his 4 turn activating Tasigur, well, Tom's fine with that.
Yeah, Tassigur's going to swing. So, Bold Move Aaron, it looks like he's trying to just race as his out, which I guess unless Tom has Ordeal of Heliod is possible.
And it's not like Tom, you know, Aaron's not in a position to block next turn, so he might as well attack.
Tom will chump away his Heliod's Pilgrim and Sidisi Brood Tyrant from Aaron.
Sidisi can be very good against heroic strategies. Just a steady stream of blockers can be very, very powerful.
Aaron taking 1 for this. He does mill Whisperwood Elemental, so he'll get a zombie. Yeah, one thing, this 4-color Soul deck does have great 4-drops, whether it's Sidisi or Siege Rhino. You have to expect a lot of value coming there. And now Tom will take the opportunity in end step to go ahead and Valorous Stance away the Tasigur.
Now, a real priority here for Aaron, if he can muster it, is getting multiple colors of blockers back on defense. That takes a lot of the sting out of God's Willing.
Yeah. Favorite Hoplite swings, Heliod's, the Ordeal of Thassa, rather, will crack, and Tom will draw 2. So in comes the 4-5. Aaron could try to double block or chump. Double block so risky, though. He'll just chump away the zombie. Aaron playing this matchup like he certainly, I feel like, knows what's going on.
Yeah, no, I've liked his play so far.
Yeah.
He definitely has a strategy.
He's chump blocking from very high numbers.
He just knows that eventually you get to a spot where you can't block anymore, so you might as well get your blocks in while you can.
Right. Sidisi swings, mills 3. Reclamation Sage is a creature, so a zombie comes back onto the battlefield.
I think Tom, with God's Willing in hand, may offer up a double block here. The Sidisi's pretty annoying. If he trades one of these creatures with Sidisi, great. And if Aaron has some sort of trick here, well, then the God's Willing comes into play.
Yep, and it looks like it'll just be a trade. Favorite Hoplite will trade away with Sidisi. And Aaron just really trying to trade off resources and gain life points.
You know, for as rough as the matchup is, it feels like Aaron's in not horrible shape right now.
Yeah, and now we see the reason for the willingness to trade away Sidisi may just have been that he had another one, so he'll go ahead and trade. Mills creatures again, gets another zombie, and added a Soul of Theros to his graveyard. He already has 5 mana and double white. And with this army in play, that Soul of Theros, Tom does not have very elegant answers to it.
No, he does not. I mean, again, he's forced to race, but Aaron has a lot of control over it.
Yeah, I mean, racing seems great for Aaron at the moment.
It's a very, very well-navigated game so far from Aaron. He has by no means the game locked up, but he's giving himself a great shot at stealing game 1.
Well, the thing I'm impressed with, and it's fun because you don't hear this say, is that I think he's making very strong decisions and that he is more than willing to chump block, which typically you assume chump blocking as not a good thing, but here I think it's just excellent for Aaron. Swings, mills a second Soul of Theros, makes another zombie. And yeah, so 2 Soul of Theros, they're off the bottom there in the graveyard. He has a mana to activate it, and Tom's got to assume that's just what Aaron's going to do.
And Tom might be in a spot here where he's forced to double block. I believe his hand's Defiant Strike and God's Willing. So if you can get a activation of Soul of Theros out of this, you can still get the CDC off the table and try to hopefully draw something big or just weather the storm of these tokens in the second soul. But it's going to be hard.
The danger is that the second soul seems to be the real kicker right now for Aaron. So favorite hoplite will get in front of Sidisi. And this is going to be Soul of Theros on Aaron's side. What I like about this, what Tom's doing, is that he has by putting the favorite hoplite in front of Sidisi and then targeting it with Defiant Strike, he negates 5 points of life gain, which is I think why Tom's making this call. So yeah, the exile happens, Aaron goes down to 11, all his creatures get 2/2, first strike, and lifelink. And so looks like the pumps on the two zombies will deal 8 to Tom. Aaron will go up to 19, Tom down to 8. Yeah, Sidisi lives through this as well. And Defiant Strike was a draw off Defiant Strike for Tom, so that's a pretty good one.
And Heliod's Pilgrim's a huge draw too, because Tom has enough mana to work with here to play Heliod's Pilgrim, go get something, and then still be able to leave up Defiant Strike and God's Willing on the way back.
Yeah, he may be forced into getting Ordeal of Heliod here, actually. Aaron can just threaten a lot of damage. Tom could get Ordeal of Heliod and cast it this turn and crack it.
And still leave up all of his tricks.
Right.
Which I think is what he has to do.
Which shows good on Aaron's side to put enough pressure on Tom to make him make this play. I think Tom would ideally get something like Aqueous Form, like Ordeal of Thassa, but because Aaron's put a lot of pressure on him with this attack, Tom probably just has to get the game 10.
Yeah, it's 18-7, and Aaron's still threatening quite a bit more damage, so Tom has to take a slightly different tact here and get the Ordeal of Heliod, which I'm sure he would, as you mentioned, prefer to get some other Can't Block effect or Ordeal of Thassa or some such.
And he's going to go for Ordeal of Thassa, actually. So Tom, with different plans, does have to survive next turn's attack.
Well, I guess the logic here is that he has enough blockers in play that he can just put enough stuff in front of things.
Yeah, Ordeal of Thassa for 1 mana, thanks to the Hero of Erois. Pumps up favorite hoplite.
Yeah, now he gets to leave a 4/5 hero back on defense, which is pretty potent.
That is great. Swings with the hero and the favorite hoplite, so that'll crack the ordeal. Tom will draw 2. He does draw the Aqueous Form and a Valorous Stance.
And Valorous Stance is great here because Aaron makes the same play that he just made where he attacks with Sidisi and then activates Soul of Theros.
Sidisi, yeah.
All of a sudden Valorous Stance is on.
And that Aqueous Form will help, if Tom can survive, that will certainly help him win the game. Either way, his attack knocks Aaron down to 12 as we go back over to Nessim. And here comes the army. Sidisi and 3 zombies. Sidisi mills 3. She misses. It's 3 lands. And the on-board play is to just activate Soul again. And it looks like Tom puts blocks, which makes it look like he's dead to the Soul.
Yeah, and Tom has to block this way because he takes 1 casting his copy of Valorous Stance. So if he blocks the DC, then 2 of the tokens get through for lethal. So he needs to do it like this.
Yep. So he blocks, goes to 6, stances away the Sidisi.
He's going to go to 2, but he is kind of out of the woods now.
Yeah, Aaron will gain 12. Tom goes to 2, so Aaron, 24 to 2. 1 zombie dies and the Heliod's Pilgrim dies. But 2 is not 0. And the 4-color Soul deck, I guess its main source of burn would be is if Aaron has a Siege Rhino in hand.
That's the big one, yeah. Because there's no Whip of Erebos in this strategy. It's all about Soul of Theros.
Tom would love to try to find that Ordeal of Heliod. That would probably close it out for him.
Tom's played a great game. He was looking like he was dead here in a couple different spots, but he's still got to dodge some draw steps here. He, in fact, could be dead already for all we know.
Right.
If Siege Rhino's in hand, but...
Defiant Strike on Hero of Erois draws him into a land. It's a blue, but looks like it's a Tranquil Cove. So that'll put Tom to 3. 3, though, not 4.
It is nice when you're facing down the zombies to be at 3, though. Gives you some extra flexibility there.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the difficulty, right? With Aaron at 24, it's not like Tom's swinging, has Aaron on a 1 or 2 turn clock.
I think it could be...
Might have 2.
Could be relatively fast. I mean, Tom probably just has to play so much defense here that he can't push too hard, but...
Yeah. Puts the Aqua Swarm on Hero of Erois. It gets unblockable. We'll swing in and deal 4. Aaron down to 20. Now pass back. Tom does have to leave back 2 blockers. Now the question, does Aaron have Siege Rhino? He does play 4. Aaron looks like he has something delving going on. I believe he does play 1 copy of Treasure Cruise in his main deck.
This would not be a bad spot for it.
Not at all. He's getting rid of his lands in case he draws another Tassiger. And certainly he'd like to find Siege Rhino. Aaron down to 17. Looks like it is Treasure Cruise. And he'll draw 3. Does he find the way to deal those last points of damage? He's looking for him. And it does not look like he has it yet. But he's got a lot of room to work with. Remember, his deck has 33 creatures. He certainly can put more threats on the table, and so many of them represent lethal with Tom at 3.
There's some real good ones. Whisperwood Elemental, Soul of Theros, a lot of high power cards that you can find here.
He does have to know, though, he's not working with too much time. Tom does have Aqueous Form on 1 creature, and I believe he has at least 1, possibly 2 God's Willings in hand. So Tom can make his whole team unblockable, which currently is 12 power, 14 if you add in the heroic counters. It's not inconceivable that Tom just kills Aaron this turn.
Yeah.
Land from Aaron puts him up to 18. Every point can help here. But I mean, that's what Tom's going to build up for. He's going to build up with his Aqueous Form until he has just a lethal swing all in 1 turn. Satyr Wayfinder is going to mill here. I believe there's another Delve card in Aaron's hand. I don't know if it's Tassiger or Murderous Cut. Certainly he would like it to be Murderous Cut. He mills for 4, misses the land, but he does mill into 2 more Soul of Theros. And that means, if at all possible, Tom should try to win this turn.
Yep, but he's facing down 4 blockers against his 3 creatures.
And as you mentioned, it's important, they're 2 different colors of blockers.
Yeah, Tom's got, Aaron, has the spread of black zombies and a Courser now and a Wayfinder, so it's going to be hard for God's Willing to prevent Aaron from being able to block altogether.
And yeah, he did. Just was thinking about upkeep scrying there at the God's Willing, but ended up not doing it. Scries with the Temple, keeps it on top. Can he survive through another Soul of Theros activation? As you mentioned, this 4-color Soul deck uses Soul of Theros so well.
Well, on the board, Tom's dead because he's got 3 blockers against 4 attackers, and the Soul makes them all 3 power. So it's exact lethal on board. No guarantee Aaron goes ahead and makes the attack, though it seems likely.
Yeah, now I guess the question for Tom is, does he have any relevant bluffs? He's going to swing for 4. Doesn't need to scry. He's already done it and already kept on top.
Well, the difficulty here is now that Aaron can just go attack you and put the onus on Tom to do something with that attack.
Yeah, it even looks like Aaron has a copy of Murderous Cut that he's going to play on end step here.
But even still, it's not like Aaron has to do that at this point because Aaron could simply go untap, attack you. If Tom does nothing, it's lethal. And if Tom does something, then you have Soul of Theros, which might get you out of whatever jam it is.
Aaron tries to Murderous Cut the favorite Hoplite on end step. Tom God's Willings it. Yeah, but you're right. Aaron can just swing everything.
Yeah.
Opulent Palace on top and plays it, goes to 19. it is looking like Aaron has actually taken game 1 here.
Yeah, I think if I'm Aaron here, I just send them all in and see what happens.
And it mattered, I want to mention just how much it mattered, those early chumps from Aaron and just being really aggressive with his life total. Had he not been so protective of his life total, Tom would have been able to use those God's Willings and that Anachrys form together to actually push through lethal damage on these late turns. And there you have it, Tom. No other plays. He's going to take 3 off the Zombie and the Wayfinder. So game 1 goes over to Aaron Nessim.
Quite the upset there, in my opinion, but Aaron did find a lot of copies of Soul Theros, did a very good job protecting his life total, and SCGDAL did a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well played on his side. Can he do it again? I guess would be the question. It's not a great matchup, and it doesn't actually get that much better after sideboard. It's not like Aaron can go to 10 kill spells out of the board.
Exactly. Tom has 2 copies of Laguna Van Trailblazer, 2 copies of Treasure Cruise and Erase, 2 copies of Ordeal of Heliod, 4 copies of Southern Isle, a Monastery Mentor, a Valorous Stance, an Aqueous Form, and a Citadel Siege. I like the Aqueous Form and the Valorous Stance here because Aaron's deck's pretty good at blocking. I think Citadel Siege may come in here because the Dragons mode's actually pretty good against SCGDAL, and the Cons mode on a stable board is reasonably powerful. I don't know if Stubborn Denial will come in here because these decks are typically very spell light.
Yeah, there seems too many creatures to do that.
But I think the 2 copies of Treasure Cruise and the 2 copies of Laguna Van Trailblazer can come in as well. Just a little bit more staying power if you think Aaron might go to something like Drown Sorrow or Bioblight. It's nice to have an 0-4, and the game could go on for a very long time. Aaron may have a lot of removal, and then Treasure Cruise is very effective as well.
Yeah, and when you look at the way Tom lost game 1, which was really to me was Soul of Theros was the story of game 1.
Yes.
There's not a good way out of Tom's sideboard to interact with Soul of Theros. If Aaron can mill into them with armies of place Sidisi's into Soul of Theroses, that's just a that seems like just a solid recipe for beating Blue-White Heroic.
Tom's plan is to be so fast that there's no time for those kind of shenanigans. But once you get to that stage of the game, you're right. Tom doesn't really have a way to stop it from happening.
Yeah, that draw of Tom's that last game was robust, but not necessarily fast.
Yeah, it was definitely. He went creature, Heliod's Pilgrim as a start.
His first 3 turns were making 1/2s.
And that gave Aaron a lot of time to get his shop set up.
All right, on Aaron's side of the board, we do see some interaction with spells. He has copies of Thoughtseize, Drown in Sorrow, Bioblade, Glare of Heresy, Soul of Innistrad, Disdainful Stroke, Treasure Cruise, Negate, and Deicide. Now, the removal seems like it's a sure thing. Bioblade, Glare of Heresy, certainly would want in on some of those. But outside of that, do you like Negates? Do you like Thoughtseizes?
I like Thoughtseizes. I like Negates. I like Bioblight and Glare of Heresy. I do not like Drown in Sorrow. That's about where I'm at.
How do you feel about Deicide? Granted, it's just kind of an expensive erase, but maybe that's still good enough.
I'm not a huge fan of erase effects against White Blue Heroic because the enchantments that matter the most just trigger so fast that you
almost have to leave it up on your turn.
Glare of Heresy is great because it can do some work against enchantments in some spots, but mostly functions against the creatures. Erase and Deicide, there aren't that many targets that you can just profitably exchange with, so I would leave that at home. Negate, on the other hand, is very good against Ordeals, so I think Negate's solid.
Yeah. Well, one thing these players are going to decide what we're going to talk about is our newest creature collection. We had creature collection. Yeah, we're going to talk about our creature collection. We've seen creature collection of squirrels, which is something we did in the last year, and this is the the Winter 2015 collection. We have this, as you see here. You've seen them: the rat, the mammoth, the turtle, and wolf. All of them. You've seen them as our featured for game nights over the last few months. You can now get them on card sleeves, playmats, and dice bags. This is our creature collection. These are the ones from Winter. You can learn more about them at starcgames.com/creature collection.
Yeah, all these items are available on the website or any Open or Grand Prix we have a booth at. You can buy it all there as well.
They're really cute. These guys are great.
The Turtle Witness.
Yeah,
get it?
Yeah.
You get it.
I get it. No, I like that.
There you go.
All right.
StarCityGames.com/creature collection to get your items today.
Okay, game 2. Tom's on the play. Does the way game 1, can Tom keep these value hands? Last game it wasn't fast, but it had a lot of value in it. It's probably still too good to mulligan, but it did show a way that Aaron can win.
Yeah, for sure. Tom's hand of just a curve of creatures is not going to be very good here. The way that you're capitalizing on the way that Aaron's deck is constructed is with the enchantments. He doesn't have that much removal to blow you out, and his deck's a little bit on the slow side, but Tom's curve that game was 1 power creature, 1 power creature, 1 power creature. And even though Tom had a lot to follow up with, he never really got enough momentum, and that gave Aaron a lot of time to flip his graveyard over, get his DC into play, eventually get his Soul of Theros, and so on. So Tom's best draws in this matchup are just have a creature, put some enchantments on it, go nuts. And Aaron doesn't have a lot of recourse against those draws.
Tom is playing, I mean, at the end of the day, Tom is playing, commons against Aaron's mythic rares. So you'd expect, Aaron will bowl him over in power as both of them get the opportunity to cast more of their cards. Tom will get farther behind.
Yeah, the difference in raw power level between these two decks could not be further apart. Aaron's deck is just all power once he gets to a certain point. Tom's trying to capitalize on some early game inefficiencies.
Yeah, perhaps some mulligans on Tom's side, at least on to 6. I believe he is on to 5 cards here. But as you mentioned before, with the turn 1, with those auras, something like a turn 1 favorite Hoplite into a turn 2 Ordeal, a mulligan to 5 can be just fine for the Blue White Heroic deck.
You never want a mulligan to 5, but this is the type of matchup where, if Tom finds the right hand, a 5-card hand will be just fine. Because again, Aaron's not going to just play kill spell, kill spell, kill spell, and really leverage the fact that he's on 5 cards. Aaron's hand's still mostly going to be creatures. So a good hand from Tom should be enough to give him some play.
All right, and with that, we are underway. Tom starts out turn 1 on Plains. It'll be Opulent Palace off of Aaron. Tom does have a Scry here. Does look like he has Aqueous Form, Hero of Erois, and Heliod's Pilgrim. So for a 5-card hand, there's action to it, though it's not the fast start he may have wanted. Go back over to Aaron. Siege Rhino lies in wait in his hand, so he does have some power 4 drops, but that's to be expected, certainly with a deck of Rhino and Sidisi.
Yeah, he's got a lot of power 4s, and now Whisperwood Elemental, power 5 in the deck, and Tassiger, a power 1 in the deck.
I mean, Tassiger has been such a great card for that reason. It's this late game card that, we saw him turn 3-1 last game.
It's pretty potent at, feels like all stages of the game.
Yeah.
You have it early, with some fetch lands and the Thoughtseize. It's ready to go on turn 3 or turn 4. If the game happens to stall out, then the activated power becomes very good.
And Aaron will have Satyr Wayfinder again. Last time we thought this did help him turn 3 a Tassiger. We'll see if what he can get off it again. This time he does hit a land. Has the option between Yavimaya Coast and Sandstep Citadel and Mana Confluence. But no Soul of Theros in the yard yet. Tom's got to be happy about that. And yeah, it'll be Sandstep Citadel as the grab for Aaron. So starting next turn, Tom should get some creatures on the board, but he's going to need to make some inroads fast. As Aaron gets the chance to cast more of his spells, Aaron will get farther ahead.
Yep. I mean, the pressure is definitely on Tom. Probably this turn and next to do something pretty big.
And now not that much removal on Aaron's side. We don't know how much he has in his hand, or if Tom can really afford to play around any of it.
No, probably not.
And we are back over to Mr. Ross. Does have Hero of Erois, Aqueous Form, Heliod's Pilgrim. And it'll just be the Pilgrim to start. Looks like the last card was Defiant Strike. So none of the cards are protective. That's the concern. And there's no God's Willing or anything like that.
This is also one of those slow value hands that we saw not be very good for Tom in game 1 on a 7-card hand.
Right. Heliod's Pilgrim gets Ordeal of Thassa, and we go back to Aaron. And for the second game in a row, this is a turn 3 Tassiger from Aaron Nessim.
Though Tassiger among the lower impact cards in the matchup, as Tom has a lot of ways to make Tassiger an ineffective blocker, and the activated power is very slow.
Yeah, it's just big. That's the best thing it has going for it. Tom's turn plays land 4, plays Hero of Erois, does not opt to try to swing or Aqueous Form anything. It actually does Aaron with the first attack. That'll be Tassiger the Golden Fang, swinging for 4. Tom's down to 16. Aaron has his 4th land, but Tom, a little bit of a reprieve here. It's not time for Siege Rhino, as the only land Aaron had was that Sandstep Citadel. So Ordeal of Thassa will now try to go on the Hero of Erois, but it'll be Negate from Aaron.
Not the end of the world there for Tom, not the full blowout.
Yeah, still gets the 1/1 counter, doesn't lose the creature. And, well, it's more of the same. It's going to be Aqueous Form this time on Hero of Erois. That one will resolve. It will be now pumped up to a 4/4. And the interesting thing, so Tom's done a lot of auraing, which has been great for him, but he actually doesn't have any more power than Aaron has on the board. Aaron can ignore this and just say, okay, let's race. I have Siege Rhinos.
Well, Tom does have the option of, making his creatures unblockable and bigger. Aaron's stuff is a little bit slower to impact things.
Certainly it's more fair.
Tom also has Valorous Stance in hand, so he has the ability to kill this Tassiger. I think he's going to hold up for 1 turn in case Aaron tries to do something about this Hero of Erois, but If not, I think at the end of the turn, it's likely to go at the Tasker.
Swing with both creatures. Tasker hits Tom down to 12. Hero, or rather, Heliod's Pilgrim jumps in front of Satyr Wayfinder. And now Aaron, that'll be Sidisi that he plays. Had the option between both Sidisi and Rhino. Went for the creature.
I think this is a concession to Valorous stance, and also just adds more power to the table this turn.
Yeah, gets a zombie, mills Siege Rhino, and he has land 5. It's another Sandstep Citadel. I do like, and I want to point that out. I do really like how that plays around Valorous stance.
Yep.
Tom Enstep cycles Defiant Strike off Hero of Erois. Drew another one, actually. And he may just be all in on protecting this hero and swinging.
Yeah, that's all his hand really allows him to do.
So here's the 5/5. It comes in. It's going to swing. Tom scries to the bottom. He's scrying first before Defiant Striking. So now he Defiant Strikes it up to a 6/6, rather a 7/6 on resolution. Finds a Ordeal of Thassa. Unfortunate sequence. If he goes in the opposite order, if he does all this pre-combat, he could have played the Ordeal. Not that it's wrong.
Yeah, it's slightly unfortunate, but he still can play the Ordeal right now if he wants to, and then still leave up Valorous stance. Yeah, and this is for maximum efficiency. And he's got 8 points of damage coming across next turn.
Yeah, so with the Valorous stance, that is lethal. Will require Aaron to have some life gain, which Aaron does at the moment. But I mean, there's no guarantee that Tom won't, off his draw step and those cards off the deal, just draw 1 or 2 more ways to pump that hero.
Right, because again, Aaron can't block. So unless he has a murderous cut, he just has to cross his fingers and hope that Tom can't cobble together lethal.
Yeah, Valorous stance will protect the hero and target it once. So Aaron's going to try to race here. First he swings. He does not have land 6. If he had land 6, he could try to mill himself into a soul. He's going to swing, though. Does hit a creature. Hits Reclamation Sage. There's a zombie under the table. This swing is for 9 damage. Tom is at 12. He'll throw Heliod's Pilgrim in front of Tassiger. Takes 5. Goes down to 7. Can Aaron survive this next attack? And it's going to be what looks like a Treasure Cruise. Maybe Murderous Cut. We'll see where Aaron goes.
And Treasure Cruise is not bad news here for Tom because he's only looking to play 1 more turn anyway.
Right. It's got to be a good card. He can. I mean, there aren't that many cards that are a lot better than the Siege Rhino that Aaron could make.
Yep.
1 more land, and it is going to be the Rhino. So Aaron goes up to 11, Tom down to 4. So here's the board state. Aaron's at 11. Tom needs to get damage across. His creature is already going to be an 8. He can use Valor Stance right now if he wants to make it a 9, which he might just do. In which case, then off his draw step and that Ordeal, he'll have to find 2 more targets. Aaron does not have black mana up, so Tom may just Valor Stance end step here.
Yep.
In fact, I would expect him to.
It makes Defiant Strike lethal, and it opens up certain weird pairs of cards to also be lethal.
Yeah, there you go. So Defiant, that Valor Stance puts a counter on it. It's going to be an 8/8. It'll turn into a 9/9 on the attack. Can it get to 11?
Ajani's Presence also lethal.
Here's number 7. First the Scry off Aqueous Form. That'll put a card to the bottom. Now the Ordeal is going to crack. Can Tom find? He has Valor Stance, Mana Confluence. It looks like he is 1 short.
And jump blocking out of next turn, even with the removal spell, is not going to function either.
Yeah, he has a blue card in hand. It depends what it is, but most of his blue cards do not target immediately. He has a 9/9, but Aaron is at 11. And it looks like it was Shu Yun.
Yep.
Was the blue card in hand. So he can put Aaron down to 1, but 1 is not going to be 0.
He has a blocker and a removal spell, but Aaron's got way too much damage coming across.
Yeah, and that puts Aaron down to 2. Tom, post-combat, has to just play Shu Yun. And that should be good enough for Aaron Nessim. Great line there by Tom to play to his out. He's on a mull to 5, if you remember this game.
Yeah, he gave himself a shot. He was very close.
Yeah, I mean, the mull to 5 doesn't even seem so bad. Each of these games, Aaron has ended the game with plenty of cards in his hand. He's just never, the games never go long enough where Aaron plays all his cards. It matters what cards Aaron has, not how many. And a full-out swing from Aaron, and that'll be it. Aaron Nessim, 2 games to 0, defeats Tom Ross.
bit of an upset there, I would say. Tom with a mulligan to 5 there in game number 2, but a very, very well played game from Aaron there, game 1. Able to take game 1 in a tough matchup, and then your opponent mulligans to 5. The draw's a little bit slow, and you're able to take it home.
Tom's draw's pretty decent there. You have to think if he has 2 more cards in his hand, he probably finds a way to get another 1/1 counter onto that hero. So being down 2 cards does end up getting him.
Yeah, it does matter, though. You can see in the matchup, Tom and Aaron, too, they're really looking for specific cards. It's not about raw card economy. It's about, do you find the stuff that you're looking for? And Tom, I thought, had a much better draw there game 2. As you mentioned, if he has an extra spell there, probably comes away with the kill. But you can see some matchups are about, often your Thoughtseize Heroes Downfall matchups, they're about, just how many cards do I have? Card advantage matters a lot.